But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And
you let them in.
President, open your
You
mouth
let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit. I want to make a quick clarification about the neo at the Turning Point event. They were outside protesters. My point was more metaphorical, that you embraced them at your thing, I felt.
But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and just
Everything erupted when Whoopi unleashed a fiery comment live on air, tossing Turning Point USA and its students into the same pile as random protesters who had nothing to do with them. The reaction? Immediate, explosive, and absolutely unforgiving. Charlie Kirk, the heartbeat of Turning Point USA, refused to back down. Instead of staying silent, he went all in, dropping a jaw-dropping $100 million lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the media. This wasn't just empty noise. Kirk came in blazing. He slammed the show for dragging innocent high school and college students through the mud without a shred of solid evidence. That legal hit sent the room spinning. Then came The View's so-called apology, or whatever that weird, mumbled statement from Whoopi was supposed to be. Delivered live, it only added fuel to the fire. Fans were baffled, and critics were floored. Whoopi's attempt at clearing things up looked more like a clumsy PR move than any real show of regret. It didn't land. It just left people blinking in disbelief.
Welcome back. In Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, the state...
Charlie Kirk wasn't buying that apology. Not even for a second. He made it loud and clear. This fight wasn't about him. It was about protecting young students who got dragged unfairly on national TV. And that message hit hard across the board, way beyond politics. But just when people thought the flames had died down, Joe Rogan jumped in and reignited the firestorm. Known for speaking his mind without a filter, Rogan caught wind of the chaos and didn't hold back. He ripped into Whoopi with savage humor and bold truths. He shredded her apology, questioning how someone with that kind of influence could throw around wild accusations, then expect to smooth it over with a weak statement. Thousands of kids get smeared and that's it? My bad? That's supposed to fix everything? Rogan barked on his podcast. And his audience went wild. This wasn't comedy for laughs. It was a full-on takedown loaded with truth grenades. He exposed everything. The recklessness, the ego, the unchecked power. He called out the media's double standards, how some people get a free pass while others are crushed for way less. The hypocrisy was screaming off the screen. And where was Whoopi? Silent. No tweets, no talk, nothing. Her silence made it all feel even worse. Rogan didn't let up. He said the real danger was how fast media figures attack, but how slow they are to clean up the mess when they're wrong. Even as fans of The View tried to shield her, the damage was done. Videos of Whoopi's comments and Rogan's fiery response were blowing up online. Charlie Kirk? Still charging forward. He doubled down in interviews, calling out the show for spreading lies and wrecking the reputations of young students with a few careless remarks.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might...
The internet went wild, memes flying, reactions flooding in, and endless chatter spinning in every direction. Online voices clashed, some defending Goldberg, while others cheered on Rogan and Kirk for refusing to stay silent. Amid all the chaos, one thing became crystal clear. This wasn't just a casual slip on live TV anymore. It had exploded into a full-blown cultural inferno with real, lasting impact. As the drama snowballed, everyone was asking the same thing. How did one talk show moment spiral so far out of control? What started as a single comment had become the year's most explosive media battle. And it wasn't just news addicts chiming in. Celebrities, streamers, and online influencers all jumped into the fray. Whoopi's misstep had gone viral, and there was no slowing it down. Timelines were bursting with hot takes. Joe Rogan? He didn't just sit back. He dove right in, tearing the whole thing apart, laughing at the weak excuses, and showing exactly why this hit a national nerve. People aren't blind, he shouted during his show. They see the nonsense, and they're sick of it. That quote went viral instantly. Meanwhile, Goldberg looked frozen in the storm. No statements, no interviews, just silence. And the silence, it screamed louder than words. The View tried changing gears, but the public wasn't having it. Kirk and Rogan kept the heat on, turning up the volume every chance they got. Charlie Kirk's outrage wasn't for show. It was raw. He slammed the program for painting his group with hate they had absolutely no connection to. The View has become a loudspeaker for elite trash. Kirk fired off in a fiery interview. This is why nobody trusts these shows anymore. Rogan nodded in agreement, calling it more proof that the media chases headlines over truth. And this whole mess was Exhibit A. Even some of The View's most loyal fans started to waver. Was this the moment Whoopi finally went too far? Was her polished image starting to crack? Rogan wasn't gentle. He dug into every missed word, every excuse, and every question she avoided. There was no soft landing, only impact.
Culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right. whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RF.
Whoopi, once praised for her wit and sharp comebacks, suddenly looked rattled, tight-lipped, tense, and totally thrown off her game. In today's media world, silence screams louder than words. Critics jumped on it, saying her quiet act proved she was cornered and had no idea how to get out. Rogan's army of fans flooded social media, calling it the takedown of the year and celebrating him for saying what others were too scared to. At the same time, Kirk's supporters were furious, shouting that The View didn't get to just move on after smearing young people on live TV. That $100 million lawsuit wasn't just about money anymore. It became a powerful symbol. A stand against what many felt was media bullying from the top down. And here's the twist. Rogan and Kirk never even joined forces. They weren't a team, but together, they launched a storm the media couldn't contain. It looked like two wrecking balls coming from opposite sides, smashing the same wall, crushing it to pieces, leaving chaos in their wake. People who never even watched The View or cared about political drama suddenly couldn't look away. That's how explosive it got. Now, Whoopi wasn't just trying to fix a quote. She was scrambling to save her name, her reputation, her entire career. Things took a darker turn when fans noticed a shift. The spark in her voice? Gone. Replaced with tight smiles and awkward pauses. She acted like nothing was wrong. But it was clear to everyone. Viewers picked apart every word, every glance, every second on screen. Online, the memes didn't let up. Some showed her clinging to cue cards like a lifeline. Others stamped her face with "My bad" in bright red letters. Every move she made screamed desperation. Not confidence, not control, just raw panic in plain sight.
The reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah, they have nothing else.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, you know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and you know they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just it's a bizarre show.
She didn't look like a seasoned host anymore. She looked like someone dodging disaster in a studio crumbling around her. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan's takedown clips were dominating the internet. He fired off a brutal joke saying, "Throw stones in a glass house and don't cry when it breaks." The line hit like lightning. That one clip, it exploded. Millions of views poured in almost instantly. The comments section lit up with fans calling it perfect, long overdue, and pure Rogan fire. And just when it seemed like Whoopi couldn't catch a break, Charlie Kirk came back swinging even harder. He posted a blistering video calling The View an old-school echo chamber for the elite. He didn't want a half-hearted apology. He demanded accountability. No forgiveness without truth, he declared, sparking even more online battles and furious debates. Things got even crazier when lawmakers joined in, backing Kirk and blasting the show as nothing more than fancy-dressed smear machines. Talk show hosts, bloggers, influencers, everyone jumped on the story. Each update outdid the last. This wasn't just scandal. It had turned into a culture war on steroids. And through it all, Goldberg stayed quiet. Eerily quiet. No tweets, no statements, just a stiff smile on TV that felt painfully forced. One media analyst nailed it. It's like watching someone pretend to float while sinking, with chains tied around their ankles. And those chains, they were every video, every headline, every soundbite flying across the internet like wildfire. Meanwhile, Rogan didn't even need to push anymore. He moved on to other topics, but his fiery takedown stayed viral, climbing the charts without effort. Kirk, still locked in, still hammering the message home. The lawsuit wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. He swore media giants had to be held responsible, and he wasn't backing down.
So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there, none of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
the
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's.
While all this chaos swirled, ratings for The View began to tank. Some fans flat out quit watching, while others drifted away, tired of a host who now looked lost in her own shadow. Even her most devoted supporters had to admit, this time, Whoopi blew it. And it wasn't just the words she said. It was the total collapse that followed that made everything worse. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Whoopi's nervous silence versus Rogan's fire-breathing rage. And Charlie Kirk? He was the flamethrower standing outside, torching everything in sight. To many viewers, this wasn't just another media moment. It had become a fight for truth, fairness, and finally seeing someone powerful face consequences. The internet wouldn't calm down, and the media was glued to every second. As each quiet day passed, people began to wonder, did Whoopi even stand by what she said? Some speculated she'd been told to go quiet, to ride it out. But the storm didn't stop. It picked up speed like a runaway train with no brakes. Reporters followed the drama like it was the next big celebrity meltdown. Talk panels, hot takes, commentary shows, everyone wanted a slice of the drama. Meanwhile, her co-hosts on The View dodged the topic like it was radioactive. They kept the show going with cringy jokes and forced laughs, pretending nothing had happened. But the audience wasn't fooled. Every awkward pause, every tight smile, screamed louder than words. Something was definitely wrong. With every sunrise, the outrage exploded further. This wasn't a small hiccup. It had turned into a cultural firestorm too big to ignore. No more smoke and mirrors. Whoopi, once seen as untouchable, was now trapped inside a media nightmare unraveling in front of millions. Everyone watched, waiting. Would she finally speak up, fight back, or simply fade into the silence? But as the days dragged on, the answer became clearer. Whoopi wasn't ready to talk. No apology, no response, not even a whisper. And that silence? It thundered louder than any excuse. Fans saw it as a quiet surrender. The loudest, "I give up," without saying a single word. Joe Rogan had already moved on. But his fans didn't. They replayed his takedown like a battle trophy, circling it through every platform. Remember when Joe shut Whoopi down? One viral post asked, racking up thousands of likes in a flash. That podcast moment? It became one of the month's hottest clips, stamped into online history like a scar that wouldn't fade. And Kirk? He kept charging ahead. More interviews, more rallies, more fight behind that lawsuit, ready to go all the way. He even joked, "They've proved my point. This is the circus I've been warning about for years." His fan base? Louder than ever. They labeled The View ancient news and demanded real change. Or for the whole show to shut down for good.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is... And Joe Rogan believes in dragons! Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have a lot of fun at the Department of Education. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've had quite a few people contact me about that particular post. Like, I'm sure I have 1/100th of what you're getting, but people are contacting me about cabinet posts. I'm like, I got
look,
nothing.
I mean, I'm actually, after this...
News outlets tried to twist the narrative, claiming the outrage was too much, painting Goldberg as just misunderstood, but no one online was buying it. In this digital world where every second gets saved, clipped, and blasted across screens, there's no room for soft apologies followed by total silence. Whoopi's reputation took a brutal hit, and even industry insiders whispered that bouncing back might not be possible. What made the blow even sharper? Rogan and Kirk didn't even break a sweat. One struck with cool logic, the other with blazing fury. And together they dismantled her image with ease. It hit like a double-punch knockout. No comeback, no plan, no defense. Whoopi was left in the spotlight with nowhere to run. The internet didn't take a breath. Reactions poured in, and analysts lined up with the same verdict. This was a public crash for Goldberg. For someone who held such powerful sway on TV for years, the fall was jaw-dropping. She wasn't just criticized. She became the meme, the punchline, the warning sign. And that might have hurt the most. Not just what was said, but how fast everything unraveled. One moment, she was the steady voice of daytime talk. The next, she was trending for all the wrong reasons. No matter how it spun, this was a turning point. A loud signal to every major voice. Fame doesn't equal safety anymore. Because now, one wrong sentence can spark a wildfire. And if you're not prepared, that heat will burn you down. The View still rolls on. But something's changed. The energy feels off, the charm's fading, and the tension. You can feel it through the screen. Meanwhile, Rogan and Kirk walked away with more firepower, more respect, more followers, while Whoopi was left piecing together what's left. This wasn't just a headline. It became a cultural shockwave. A sharp message. Power can't shield you from the truth. When the spotlight hits and the world starts swinging, only honesty keeps you on your feet. And for Whoopi Goldberg, that spotlight didn't just catch a stumble. It exposed a legacy cracking under pressure and silence. One thing's crystal clear now. The rules have shifted. In today's media arena, if you step in unarmed, you're going down.